Good morning, good morning, good morning. Bear with me, just let me add this other stream and I'll get started. All right, so thank you everyone for joining the pre-market prep. So let me go ahead and get started. If you have questions, feel free to drop your questions in the live chat and I will definitely get to those questions. I'll pause periodically and answer your questions. All right, so today's pre-market prep. Remember, Tesla had earnings yesterday. So we're going to take a look and see what analysts are saying. We're going to look at Tesla specific news to see how that's, basically what analysts are saying and what they're expecting. Coming until today, we could have a day one mover. Day one mover means what the stock does after the first, basically the first day after earnings, or we could have a day two mover, which is Friday. So we could either drop, sellers could step in aggressively and continue to push the price lower, or buyers could step in aggressively and push the price higher, even though we're down over 20 bucks. Okay. Yesterday, we closed at 332 and change. And today in the pre-market, we're down to 312 and change. All right. So if you have questions, feel free to drop your questions in the live chat and I will pause periodically and answer your questions. So next, we'll take a look at red and orange folder news. This is scheduled news that we could check out every single day to see if that news will negatively or positively impact the market coming into the session today. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look. I did a trade recap yesterday. So I'll just touch briefly on what I did yesterday. I did trade yesterday. I traded AMD because I don't trade Tesla when they're, on earnings day. Okay. When the earnings report is going to drop. So I didn't trade Tesla yesterday, although it did move. I didn't expect it to move, but I did cover that yesterday in my pre-market prep. What could happen for those who were interested and who might be considering taking positions on that day. But I didn't trade Tesla yesterday. I don't trade companies when their earnings are due. Okay, the day of earnings. So I don't do that. But let's see. Yesterday I did trade AMD. AMD. So what happened is I took a loss yesterday. So it was a red day for me yesterday. I lost a little over 20%, or maybe it was like close to 20%. I don't remember. I didn't get that added to my journal yet. So I'm going to add that to my day trading journal, get that updated. So I was up currently 7.9K with that $500 loss yesterday. That will drop me down to 7.5K, which is cool because now I can kind of walk everyone who's interested on how quickly I can get that money back. All right. So in one day or over a course of 2 to 3 days. All right. Very, very quickly. Even though I lost that trade, everything was systematic. My approach was systematic. Everything was based on technicals. There were no guessing. There was no doubting. There was no anything like that. Okay. So I was well within my psychology, executing my plan to the letter. All right. So just happens to be a red day, and that's cool. We will have red days when we trade stock options. We accept the risk, right? We accept the risk, but we have the power to control how much we lose anytime we trade or enter a position. All right. Let me pause and make sure I'm not missing any questions. Let's see. If you guys have any questions right now, feel free to drop them in the live chat, and I will answer those questions. If no questions, I will continue to proceed with the pre-market prep. I'll give it 20 seconds. And while I'm doing that, let me go ahead and pull up scheduled news and let's take a look here. Okay, no questions. All right, so let's open up. And by the way, do you guys like, ladies and gentlemen, do you like this view better? Because I'm showing I'm actually live streaming, sharing my uh, sharing the view from my TV. So hopefully you can see, those of you on TikTok, you can see this much better. I think it's better, but you guys got to let me know if you think this is better for you versus my laptop. So I can zoom in a bit more here so you guys can see clearly. But this is Forex Factory. Oh, you can? Okay, cool. Appreciate you, Elra. Is it Elra Queen? Elra Queen? Let me know, make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't want to mispronounce your name or your handle. Just let me know. But yeah, so this is forexfactory.com. This is a free site. Anyone can access this site, forexfactory.com. You can access red and orange folder news every day. They will post the schedule of what's scheduled to drop. All right. So we do have quite a bit of red folder news today and orange folder news. So today might be crazy. Right, might be crazy. So we'll have to wait and see how some of these scheduled news will impact Tesla as well as the overall markets. All right, so we did have quite a few red folder news that dropped earlier today, starting at 2:15. So I'm gonna in a bit, I'm going to open up the chart, the Tesla chart. We'll take a look at the pre-market. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, pre-market starts at 3 a.m. and it ends at 8:30. Excuse me. It starts at 3 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Eastern. All right. And it ends at 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay. Why do you want to check out this news? Because it could either negatively or positively impact your stock of choice as well as the overall market. So you want to be mindful of what news could drop so you can either not enter a trade or be cautious and maybe systematically set your stop just in case there's a sudden spike, which is a move in a direction that is not in your favor. So if you're in a position towards the upside, you're going long, meaning you want the prices, you're hoping that the prices continue to climb, then you definitely want to set your stop loss systematically. So if there's a sudden spike, meaning a downward trend, then you don't want to be, you don't want to suffer too much of a loss. So you can set that systematically, and the account or brokerage account, whether that's Robinhood, Webull, IBKR, or Thinkorswim, they will, exit your position if that happens. And the same is true for the downside. So it's just inverted, and you would still set the same stop loss systematically so you don't suffer too big of a loss. All right. Because then, if you don't, that could lead to what? Many traders already know this, especially those who've already experienced this. You begin to fall into the trap of revenge trading. That's chasing after the money that you lost. All right. And you don't want to do that because ultimately what happens is that leads to greater losses. Right. And we don't want to do that. So patience is the key. Just like yesterday, I did suffer a red day. It was a red trade. I lost $500. But it's no biggie because I was patient. I could have gotten back in the trade. If I did later that day, I would have made that money back the same day. But I wanted to take the time, reset, reevaluate, make sure I, take a look at what I did well and what I did wrong, and then, be patient. And so I was like, you know what? I don't need to trade today. I don't need to jump back in. I'll jump back in the trade after the earnings for Tesla drops today, and then look forward to Thursday. So, which is today. So, I'm looking forward to entering into a trade today. We'll take a look, see if any setups present themselves for Tesla or my second and third options. And if not, then I'm okay with not taking a trade today, also. Right. But let's see, we do have some red folder news coming in at 7:15 a.m. So that's pending. I'm going to refresh here after 1 minute and see what happened. All right. So far, main refinancing rate. And then we got the monetary policy statement. You don't have to know what these mean exactly. There's a lot to learn when trading or investing in stock options or Forex or futures or investing in general, right? There's a lot to learn, but we don't need to know the through Z in order for us to begin growing our money. You only need to start at A, and you can become profitable and begin growing your money right away. So just keep that in mind. Excuse me. So we do have we had the main financing rate that dropped dead even, right? This was the actual. This column is the. Make sure I can scroll over so you guys can see that. This column is the actual, this column is the forecast, and this is what happened previously. So we ended even right across the board. So we got some other news, monetary policy statement dropping as well. And then at 7:30, 14 minutes, we got core retail sales. This is orange folder news. Retail sales, unemployment claims, and 7:45 a.m. we have, like I said, we got quite a few scheduled red folder news and some orange folder news. Let's see, PMI at 8:45. And home sales, I don't expect that to impact us. And then there's orange folder news at 6:30, which will be out of the market by then because the session closes for us, common folk, at 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. All right, so let's take a look. Let me do a quick refresh and see if we have an update for the monetary policy statement that might have dropped. Let me scroll down. Okay, so monetary policy hasn't dropped just yet. Looks like it's still pending. All right, so we'll come back to that. For now, let's go ahead and jump over to Tesla specific news. And then we'll take a look. Actually, let me do this first. Since we did have some red folder news that dropped at 2:15 a.m., let me quickly show you all what happens in the pre-market once it opens at 3 a.m. Central, 9, excuse me, 9, 3 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Eastern. All right. Apologies about that. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and I will pause periodically and answer those questions. Let me pause real quick and see if anyone dropped any questions. All right. No questions so far. All right. So this shaded area here, this is the pre-market. This is the pre-market area. This shaded area is the post-market. So this is from yesterday. This is today. So we did have that red folder news that dropped at 2:15 and then subsequent red folder news that followed. All right. And so as you can see here, this is where we ended on the post-market. The post-market ended at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And once the market opened, the pre-market opened at 3. Let me use my drawing tool here so you guys can see this. Give me a second. Let me activate this. Boom. All right. So here's where we closed at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then once the pre-market opened at 3 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Eastern, right? We had a significant drop. This is a down close candle and it's significant. Excuse me. I'm stumbling over my words. It's a significant drop. So sellers stepped in aggressively and pushed the stock lower. Remember, we're checking out the impact of this scheduled news. So we did drop aggressively, right? Sellers stepped in aggressively, sold off a couple of stocks, and buyers began to step in. And so you can see from this point to this point, buyers did step in aggressively to push the price up. But from this point, so far, this is the highest point within the pre-market session, and this is the lowest point. So when we're drawing out key levels, remember I talked about this in previous pre-market preps. We just look left and we draw out the highest the highest point the prices rose, and the lowest point the price fell within the pre-market session, and that will give you your key level for your pre-market high as well as your pre-market low. Pretty easy. All it takes is for you to have eyes to see this on the chart. And the chart I'm using is a free chart. Is tradingview.com. Okay, you don't even have to create an account to begin viewing stocks on the chart. You can look at any stock on the chart on tradingview.com. It's a free tool. All right, so we have our high and our low, pre-market high, pre-market low. And from that point, look at what happened. This is why it's important to mark out. So why do we draw out these key levels? Well, because what we're waiting for is a breakout above or below those key levels. Okay, we're waiting for specific direction, either above the key level or below it. Anything in between, we ignore. This is called consolidation. We box in the high and the low, and anything in between, we ignore it. It's just noise. All right. Some traders do. There are traders that do make money in what's described as chop. All right. This is consolidation, meaning the stock isn't moving much. It's just kind of going up and down within range, right? You mark out the high, you mark out the low, and you see we didn't break above that yet. Now we can make a new high in the pre-market and we can make a new low in the pre-market. We haven't done so yet. So we just keep a watchful eye on it. Ideally, what we do is we wait for it. If nothing changes and we remain with the same pre-market high and low, then we'll continue to use those key levels um, as our point of interest, as long as we remain within range. You can see we also have two other key levels here. The green line above that I'm pointing to is the previous day high, and this line here is the previous day low. All right. These are in play once the stock price reaches near these levels. Since they're not, we ignore these as well. This is just noise for now. All right. For now, our primary focus is the pre-market high and the pre-market low. All right. So what will we be looking for? I just showed you what we look for in terms of when red and orange folder news drop and how that can impact our stock of choice. So you definitely want to navigate to your stock of choice. Obviously, mine is Tesla. Yours may be NVIDIA or AMD or any tech stock. It could be Walmart or anything, any stock that you're interested in. You want to take a look at the pre-market and see what that stock is doing currently and how that news impacted your trade. Especially if you're already in a position, you want to stay abreast on that type of news, okay? Because there could be a sudden spike and it could be in your favor, which is always good, or it could work against you, all right? So you definitely want to stay abreast on that. So let's take a look at Tesla specific news and now come back and talk about what I'm looking for coming into the market open today at 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. If you all have any questions, I'll pause briefly right now to answer any questions you may have. If not, for those of you who can only stay tapped in for a little bit during this live, feel free to drop me a DM and I will forward you this replay if you want to watch this replay from beginning to end and kind of learn at your own pace. All right. I do this every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern. I'm just getting it all wrong. 7 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern. All right. That's when I go live for the pre-market prep. And then I go live every Friday with my mentor, ladies and gentlemen. So you can see the breakout and retest strategy live in action. It's a phenomenal experience. You got to see it. You don't want to miss it. He is phenomenal. All right. Since I've joined his mentorship, I paid $3,500. That's $3,500. But I'm extending access to you guys through my live for free. Because I want everybody to see this, those who are interested in growing their money, because this is easy. He uses simple language. He does not overcomplicate it. He makes everything easy to see, all right, and learn, all right? So he steps us through it. His name is Scarface. You can actually see, I want to say his name. I'll tell you his name, but I can't say the social media channel that you can check out because TikTok, for whatever reason, their AI bots keep flagging me. And they'll sometimes kick me off the live because to them, they're perceiving it as I'm trying to redirect traffic to other platforms. And obviously that's not the case. But if you DM me, I've been sharing his social medias to those who are interested. But I do have a live recording of the session yesterday. So if you want that, I can share that with you also, Marshall. So just if you want that, just DM me. I'll give you the social medias as well as the live session recording if you want that. Just let me know which one you want, and I'll send that to you via DM. Thank you all for all the likes, all the follows. I appreciate the love. If you got to go, feel free to drop at any time, right? But if you want the replay, just DM me. If you're following me, just DM me, and I'll send you a link to the live replay so you can rewatch, all right? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Tesla specific news. If you're following along on TradingView, again, this is a free platform. Let me Let me know, ladies and gentlemen, if this view is better. I'm showing you guys from my TV today because it's a much larger screen versus what I was doing previously, which was showing from my laptop, but I had to keep pivoting the device like so. And to me, that was pretty annoying, but no one complained about it yet. But I'm just trying to give you guys a better overall experience. So let me know if you like this viewing experience better. It's a much larger viewing experience, and I don't have to pivot the device as much. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Tesla specific news. Remember, we had Tesla earnings that dropped yesterday. You can see that did have some impact in the post market. This zone here is the post market. This shaded area from here to here is the pre-market. From here to here, that's the post market. So this is after hours for us common folk. So we don't get to trade in the after hours unless you have that subscription. I don't, so I don't trade in during this time. This is for the big institutions and companies and so forth like that. They trade in the post and pre-market. But look at what happened. We did have earnings. After earnings, there was a sudden sell-off, and so there was impact, right? So stock fell. What was it? 332 yesterday. So we fell $20 coming until today. So we're down $20. But hey, keep in mind that doesn't mean that buyers won't step in aggressively and push the price all the way back up. Look at how far away we are from the previous day low. This is the previous day low, this red line here. And we're at the pre-market. This is the pre-market zone. Okay. This is where we are currently. It's not impossible for buyers to step in aggressively to push this stock up within the first 5 minutes. It can happen. It has happened. As you can see, just like sellers sold off. Well, this is the same thing that could happen in the inverse, right? Buyers could step in aggressively and push the stock price back up in the same way. But let's take a look at Tesla specific news, and let's see if there's some interesting rumblings in the market from our analysts that keep track of what's going on in the marketplace. I'm in tradingview.com for those of you who are following along. If you're in tradingview.com, you can see on the right side, there's this panel. There's a panel on the right side, and there's a link for Tesla. I'm just going to click on that link. It will open up a new tab. You could do this for any stock that you're interested in. I'm obviously interested in Tesla, but if you're interested in other stocks, there's that similar link will be in that right pane of your TradingView screen. Okay, you can click it, and it will open up a new tab specific to the stock of interest. And look, this third tab, this is the news tab. Okay, you can get news specific to your stock of interest. So you want to, why does this matter? Well, because you want to see what's dropping. You want to see what news is dropping as you're trading. You just check in periodically and just take a quick peek. All you have to do is read, skim over the headlines. You don't even necessarily have to drill in and open up the news unless you see something really significant and you feel like you want to read and get further details. But the headlines should be enough. So let's see. I clicked on that, and I'll get the Tesla specific news. We did have some news that dropped 7 minutes ago. Let me zoom in so you guys can see that. So we did have some news that dropped 7 minutes ago. And what I do is I just skim over the headers. All right. I just skim over the headers and see if there's anything that I should note. So give me a moment. Bear with me. I'm just going to do a quick skim. And I go all the way back to, let's see. I go all the way back to, where I see like 8 or 12 hours ago, because I pretty much read all the other headers yesterday. So let me scroll back up and let me quickly skim through and see if I see anything. If you all have any questions, feel free to drop your questions in the live chat. If you want this replay, I can send you the live replay once this session ends. All right. Any session that you want, I can send you the session once the session ends. All right. Just DM me so I can send that over to you. Tesla stock plummets after Q2 miss. Now, keep this in mind. This is key. Model T's fails to impress. Okay, yeah, but that was expected. Many people were talking about that. Many analysts, not just people. These are people that follow the market closely. You got to keep in mind that they're not always correct. They're not always 100% correct. But if you're following a particular company, then you pretty much have an idea of what's going on because you've been tracking the news. But yeah, this was expected. No one expected Tesla to hit earnings, but what we are expecting, investors is what is Tesla doing after the fact? What are they going to do about the miss in sales? Okay, because they had a significant drop in sales due to all the tariff news and all of that stuff that impacted Tesla. The spat between him and Trump did not impact sales enough. There was some impact, right? People were um, more cautious in terms of buying a Tesla vehicle if they didn't already have one. But you didn't see too many people selling the Teslas that they already bought. Yeah, we didn't hear a lot about that. So, anyway, Sunrun and Tesla launch home energy. Keep in mind, Tesla is more than just an EV automaker. They also have a portion of their business in energy, 10% to be exact, a little over 10%. What? Your live is not eligible for recommended. See, this is what I'm talking about. I just got a notification from TikTok that my live isn't being recommended anymore, and I don't even know what's happening. Like I could say one word, something, and every time, and obviously I'm talking about financial information, and it keeps flagging me. Then I have to appeal, and then they say, "Oh, we're sorry," and then they re-enable my privileges. But this is crazy. So bear with me, folks. Um, I don't know why they think I'm providing financial advice, but let me state that anyway. I'm not providing financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed. I'm only sharing that which I am learning in my own personal experience. So let me do that for the AI bot. But hopefully, you guys are still able to uh, learn. But anyway, so that's what's happening coming into today. We Tesla also have they're transitioning from being a automaker to a tech-based company. How so? Well, they're transitioning over into adding a third arm, which is AI. So remember, they recently launched in June the robo-taxi service, but don't be fooled. Do not be fooled. All right. The robo-taxi service is AI driven. Okay, so Tesla is driving all of his companies. He's transitioning all of his companies over to tech-based companies, and they will be tech driven or AI driven. And so then you can see below the surface, the what the focus will be is the application of that technology, of the AI technology. And robotaxi is a perfect example. It's AI driven. It's an AI driven service. Okay, so it's the application of AI that they will be monetizing, as well as the data accumulated from that application. Okay, and so that's what you want to know. Tesla's transitioning over to a tech based company, so keep that in mind. So it's energy, automotive, and then next is tech, right? AI. So let's see. I'm just going to do a quick skim and check some other headers, some other headlines. Tesla stock is falling. The earnings call lack meat. I'll take a look at that later and see what they say. Tesla falls on worst sales drop in over a decade, warns of tough quarters ahead. But look, it only fell 20 bucks in the post and pre-market. We'll see what happens coming until today. Will sellers continue to push the stock lower, or will buyers step in and hold the pre-market low and begin to push the price higher? Tesla faces difficult road ahead as it hopes robo-taxis will offset declining sales. Remember, I just mentioned that Tesla is transitioning from a EV automotive company. So they have a lot of things in the works. That's why the price was being pushed up by investors, and more investors were dumping money back into Tesla. Let's see. Here's the SEC 10Q report. I'll take a look at that later. Let's see. Tesla faces difficult road. Tesla's maintained at hold by Needham. Okay, Street View, Tesla's EV ride hits a rough patch. Expected. Tesla shares fall amid delays, distractions, and fading EV dominance. They're not fading EV dominance. I hate some of these headlines. Some of these people just do this for click, um, just for the click. But Tesla is the leader in EV, right? They're also the leader in robo taxis. All right, because and the technology that Tesla uses is cheaper than its competitors, and it's more reliable. It's a reliable technology that they're using. So keep that in mind. Some of these headlines be just for click. Let's see. Tesla stock nosedives. Yep, we know that. Bright spot. European car sales slumps. Tesla is falling in sales, but that's expected. They're opening up new manufacturing plants across the country, or excuse me, across the globe. So it's not an issue, too big of an issue. All right, so that's it for what I see today. I'm going to come back and periodically refresh to see if I see anything else. Do you have any questions? Do any of you have any questions coming into today's pre-market prep? If so, drop them in the live chat and I will answer those now. If not, I'm going to jump back over to the Tesla chart and take a look. Let's refresh the red folder and orange folder news and see if we got those updates. It's 7:37. So let's see. Monetary policy still didn't come in yet. Still didn't come in yet, but we do have core retail sales, and unemployment claims that did drop at 7:30. Those look okay, pretty much neutral, nothing too significant. And when we look at the chart, you can see from the chart, still consolidation. We're still within range. We didn't make a new low. This was the lowest point. The price fell. This is the highest point. The price rose. All right. We're still within range, still choppy, still consolidation, no new highs, no new lows. So that news did not impact the stock. And this is what we check for. We just do a quick refresh. We check the scheduled news. We check any news that might have dropped recently, and we see if it has any impact before we enter our positions. And so you definitely want to be careful when you take a look at this scheduled news. So you either want to get in before the news or after, right? If you're in while before the news drops and you stay in while the news is dropping, then you could experience a significant spike in either direction, which could help or hurt your position. All right. So you want to be in and out before or after, not really when you're in, unless you're in a good position. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, you were in your position way, way, way down below. So this fall does not hurt you in any way. You're still way up. Let's say you're up still. You were up like 80%, and this $20 drop dropped you down to 60%. So you could still stay in it. That news did not impact your position as much. But if you were in somewhere here, this is a significant impact, right? If you were in at this position and the stock fell $20, yeah, that hurts. That's significant. But if you were in pretty early, like way, way, way down here below, this drop and you were up 80% and this $20 drop dropped you, let's say, for example, 20%, it didn't hurt as much. So we took a look at the scheduled news. We took a look at recent news that dropped for Tesla. You could do the same for any stock of interest, onetradingview.com, which is a free application. All right. So what I'm going to do now is talk about what I expect coming into today. All right, so remember, we boxed in the pre-market high and the pre-market low. We're still within range. Let me activate my other drawing tool here. All right, so what I expect coming into today is, since we're near the pre-market low, we're a little bit away from the pre-market high. What I expect to happen is we might see some consolidation right off the bat, and then slowly make our way towards the pre-market low. This would be considered a retest of the pre-market low. We hit the pre-market low here and here, right? So this will be the third time we hit the pre-market low. And what are we looking for here? we're looking for buyers to hold this level here. Okay, we want to see that buyers are holding this level and not letting the stock price drop too much further. Okay, it can come a little bit lower, let's say like around this level. Just consider this key level not a specific price, but a zone. 1.5 points above, and 1 to 1.5 points above. Okay, so we want to see that buyers are maintaining this pricing zone. And if they do, and we see buyers begin to push the price back up aggressively, then we want to enter our position here towards where? Well, towards the pre-market high. This will be our first level to take profit or exit our position completely. Okay, so if buyers continue to push the price up, then we can look to exit the position if we only have one contract, or if we have multiple contracts, two or more, then we could take off a couple of contracts and leave some running contracts trailing. Okay, and you want to leave those trailing contracts because they begin to grow in value exponentially as long as the stock begins or continues to climb. Okay, so that's one option that could happen coming into the pre-market today. Another thing that could happen is sellers could push this aggressively towards the pre-market low. You can see within one candle a significant drop, right? An aggressive sell-off. And then what will we be looking for? We'll be checking the reaction off of this key level again. Okay, so we could experience a drop. Let me move this up just a little bit. Move this up just a little bit here, get some more real estate. Reactivate this tool. Hold on, so we want to see if buyers, the reaction off of this level, sorry, not buyers. We want to see the reaction off of this level. If sellers aggressively push the stock lower, as I demonstrated here, then we might see a retest back to this pre-market low. It doesn't have to come and touch this line exactly. It just needs to come near this pricing zone. All right, it could come near, at, or even break slightly above it. Okay, and that's okay. If it breaks slightly above it, that's okay. We're just looking for the retest to see if sellers will hold this key level, all right, and not allow the stock to push higher or too much higher. And if so, then what will we be looking for? If sellers step in aggressively and they begin to push the stock lower, then we can look to take a snipe or scalping position, right? We can enter our position here. And where would we look to exit? We can see we don't have any new key levels drawn here. So our point of interest, our target would be low of day. Notice this sell-off created a new low of day. This was the low of day here, remember? Okay, so if we make a new low of day and we slowly pull back to this point of interest, we could enter our position here and look to exit. If you only have one contract, you can look to exit once we come near, at, or even break slightly below this low of day level. Again, it's the same thing, just in reverse. You rinse and repeat. If you have multiple contracts, you can begin to scale out of your position at this key level, right? So let's assume you have two contracts. Well, you can scale out of one and leave one trailing contract. If the price stays heavy and continues to drop, then that trailing contract is going to begin making even more money. All right. If you got four contracts, you can scale out of 25%, which is just to scale out of one contract and leave three trailing contracts, or you can scale out of 50%. You can scale out of the majority of your position. How do you determine which one? Like, do you do 25? Do you do 50%? Do you do 75%? How do you determine which number to choose? It's based on your predetermined goals. Well, I've talked about this in previous live sessions. You want to have a predetermined target. You're not guessing here. You don't want to guess. And you don't want to deceive yourself into believing that there will be continuation. It doesn't matter which position you take, whether you're taking a position toward the upside or a position toward the downside. You don't want to fall in that trap of deceiving yourself to believe that a stock will continue in any direction. You want to stay technical, right? Objective. You're doing a technical analysis, and that's one of the purposes I do this pre-market prep, is to demonstrate what that looks like. All right. You're doing this based on your technical analysis to see where is the stock going currently, and you play it bar by bar, right? Candle by candle. If the stock begins to pull back towards this key level, and you have that, you bought 2 contracts, you sold out of one at this level, you left 1 contract trailing, but then all of a sudden it began to pull back towards this level. If it pulls back near this level, you can exit that position. You should be either break even or a little bit in the green, right? But you won't lose money because you entered your position here at this point, and you should be up a little bit, right? So if that stock began to pull back, you should still be green. All right. That's the benefit of having multiple contracts. So eventually, if you can't get there now and you can only afford to buy 1 contract, cool. You would have exited your position at low of day. All right. Don't risk it. See profit, take profit. That's the mantra. All right. There's a reason for that, because stocks can quickly reverse suddenly on you in a snap, in a heartbeat, in a blink of an eye, and then you can lose everything that you just gained. Then you're going to be more frustrated, which could lead to revenge trading, and that begins a vicious cycle that you do not want to enter in. All right. So that's what we're looking for coming into today. Let me clean up this chart. If sellers continue to push the price lower, let me pull this up again. Oops. Let me switch tools. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the live chat. Let me get some more real estate here. All right, and turn this back on. So we could start out really, really heavy. Don't try to chase price. Don't try to chase price, please. Don't try to chase price. If we start out heavy like so, then what we want to wait for is a retest back to this level, okay? We want to wait for a retest back to this level. There are other levels you could enter in before a complete pullback back to this level, but I'm not going to get into that right now. That's a little bit more of an advanced strategy, and I don't want to overcomplicate this for newbies, okay? So I just want to keep this simple, the explanation simple. But if you want me to drill down on that, I could provide further details. But we could start off really, really heavy. So my point here is don't chase price. Wait for the pullback to this key level, and then you could take the price towards the new low of day. All right. So you can look to exit your position here and take profit, see profit, take profit. All right. Now, buyers, let's talk about what happens if there's a strong reaction from buyers, right? So buyers could immediately push this price up and break above the pre-market high. And what will we be looking for? Again, we're checking the reaction off of this key level. And if we start out aggressive, buyers pushing this price up well above the pre-market high, great. Either way, as a stock options trader, we can make money in either direction. We don't care what the price does. We don't care what direction the price trends. We can make money in either direction. And that's what I'm demonstrating here. What are we looking for? The same thing, just inverted, right? We're looking for the retest back towards this key level. Remember, it doesn't have to touch the key level. It just needs to come near it. It could be $1 above, $1 below. This price is currently $315 and change. So it could be $316. It could be $314. It just needs to come at, near, or below, right? So once we get the retest here, what are we checking for next? This is the second condition. Well, we want to see that buyers hold this key level. And if they do, we want to see the third condition, that buyers are stepping in aggressively. So that's our confirmation. If they do, we enter our position here. Where do we look to exit? Same thing, just in reverse. The inverted high of day. Remember, we talked about low of day. We will be checking for a high of day. That's where we will look to exit. Okay, so we will look to exit at high of day. We take our position here. All right, this is 315 and change. This point is 317 and change. 315. So this is a $2 move. So you could definitely make money. It's a significant return. This could be 10% or greater. Okay, this could be 10% or greater of the return. So if your position is $100, you can make $10 off that $100 position. If it's a 20% move, then you just made $20 on that $100 position. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So you would ride the trend up to high of day, and you would look to exit your position, especially if you only have one contract. If you have multiple, you can look to scale out and um, if you have two contracts, you can look to scale out one, leave one trailing. If you have four, you can scale out 25%, 50%, or 75%. But your decision is based on your predetermined goals. Okay. You have a target in mind. If your target is 3 to 7%, like mine, for example, soon as you reach that target, you can exit your position completely, no matter how many contracts you have. You do not have to leave trailing contracts, although if you do, it's good. If you have four contracts, scale out of three, leave one running, because you'll see that one contract could grow exponentially in value because the stock price is pushing up or continuing to climb. All right, so you could capture more gains, and then you could do what I talked about in previous sessions: is enter a trailing stop loss, so you can continue to capture more gains, and then that stop loss limit will move as the stock continues to climb, continuing to capturing, allowing you to continue to capture more gains and jump out of the trade systematically if there's a slight reversal in the trend. All right, so I'm done with the pre-market prep. If you all have any questions, now's the time for Q&A. I could spend a little bit more time answering any questions. It's 7:53. I'm going to get ready for the open at 8:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Okay, so if you guys got any questions, I can answer them now. If not, feel free to tune in with me on Fridays where I go live with my mentor. I talked about this already. Also, I have a drawing. If you haven't sent me a DM just yet, just let me know that you're interested in entering the drawing. All you have to do is DM me a simple message saying, hey, I'm interested in participating in the drawing. All right. It's a giveaway. It's a giveaway for newbies, those who are interested in day trading, learning how to grow their money step by step. You may not have the funds. Even if you have the funds, you could use my funds risk-free, okay? Even if you have the funds, you could test this out. Maybe you were interested in day trading, but you didn't want to risk your money. So this is a huge opportunity for those who are interested in learning how to day trade. All right, so the giveaway is simple. It's a simple giveaway. There's not a whole lot of requirements. I'm still working out some other details. But the drawing will end the third week of August, and then I will go live to select and announce the winner during that live the following Friday. All right. So the drawing will end the third week of August, and I will go live to select and announce the winner on the live the following Friday. How will I select the winner? Excuse me. I will use a free online random number generator. Okay, so all the participants will receive a number, and then I will use a free online random number generator to select the winner during that live session. All right, so if you're interested in participating, all you have to do is DM me a message saying that you want to participate in the drawing, and I will get you locked in. All right. So some of you, if you've already done so, I got you locked in. I'll send you a confirmation message, providing you with some other details if necessary, and then you can ask me any questions if you have any questions about that. Let's see. I think that's it for me. I don't see any further questions in the live chat. So with that said, I'm going to drop the mic right here. It's your man Ace. Tune in every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern for the live pre-market prep. I focus on Tesla, but you can ask questions about other stocks of interest. And if I can answer your question, I will. If I can't answer your question, I will be happy to forward your questions over to my mentor. All right, so no problem. Thank you all for the likes. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for your support. I really appreciate the love. I appreciate all the follows. Help me get to 1,000 followers. So TikTok will finally give me the stream key. Then I can provide you guys with a better viewing experience just by sharing my screen instead of using my mobile device to film or go live. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to drop the mic right here. It's your man Ace. I'm out. Till next video. All right. Later.